Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Port Royal's second budget workshop. We're here on May 14th. It is 5:30. We're at the police department right now. Today, we had a little bit of flooding the other day in the council chambers, so we're over here. Thank you to the police department for opening up your training room for us. Just get rolling right into budget workshop. We're on departments tonight. Go to staff up first. We've got legislative.
Well, I don't know if you want to take these a little bit out of order.
Okay.
Let's get through some of the easier ones real quickly, and then we'll back into legislative if that's okay. And one of the budget, we'll start with the court budget. And just so you know, on this attachment, this one that you have, those are where all your line items are. And we used to break them down each department by page, but we're working with a little bit different software. So if you will refer to the bottom of page 2, and it extends all the way to almost the bottom of page 3. Excuse me. These are out of order. I don't know how this happened. Anyways. Page 2. Oh, that's right, because it's on the bottom. Okay, all right. So,
Bottom of page 2? Yes.
yeah, see, below the word executive is where the court budget begins.
No, this one. Okay. This, I was looking at the,
No.
looking at that one.
Page 2 of the spreadsheet.
oh, the spreadsheet also?
Look right there,
Cheryl.
exactly.
Page 2, baby.
Both of them happen to be caught on page 2.
All right. So,
At the very
we'll break down this format a little bit better, and we'll separate the departments page for page. But anyways, looking at the court budget, we're anticipating an increase from $227,670 to $233,115. Obviously, included in that budget is the 3% cost of living adjustment. Chris has gone ahead and made the modification to the health insurance. I included in your folders an article or an email regarding the state legislature's action on the employee portion of the health insurance increase. So now we're only anticipating the 4% projected employer increase. So we're pleased with that. And I think you said that's January 2026 when that goes into place. All right. But the items of significance in this budget are under special contracts. And there are two things that are funded, or several things that are funded under that particular line item. One is the public defender services. 2 is the services we get from the city of Beaufort for bond court. And then the third, which we moved from the police department budget to the court budget, is prosecutorial assistance provided by an attorney that we have contracted with. And so despite the fact that we've included that, I think some of the savings we're going to realize by contracting public defender services is why you see such a small increase in that total budget, despite the fact that we've added the prosecutor services to the court budget. So we were expending higher using the public defender's office. So contracting it out is much more efficient.
Last year for a public defender?
It was like $87,000.
87,000 last year?
Yeah, if you look over on the third column, you'll see about 86 there. And so total, we've spent about 562 under that, so about 87 with public defender. So we're going to net out some savings by contracting that service. If we approve the contract that staff is recommending later this evening. We had 3 bids for public defender services. You saw 60, 90, and 120. So, all right.
Last year we spent 87,000.
So far, this year, we
This
spent
year,
so far
currently.
87,000.
And we're not finished until July 1.
Right.
Until June 30th.
Yeah.
So,
That's why we put it out for bid. The public defender services. We were contracting with the 14th Circuit for public defender services. And y'all have heard my argument regarding the public defender. We pay we pay county taxes, we pay municipal taxes, we pay state taxes. Our people collect, a portion of each ticket goes to underwriting the services of that office. So we felt like our people were paying 3 and 4 bites of the apple for that service. And obviously, we're going to realize some savings by contracting it.
And that was supposed to be going up this year
Yeah, yeah, that was, and also in anticipation of an increase.
What was it gonna go up to? You know?
I don't recall what
Like a
the-
percentage or
It's separated between the city and Bluffton.
Yeah, if you recall, we rolled up our services for the Public Defender's Office with Beaufort and Bluffton, who had been sued by the ACLU and had a structured settlement that dictated the terms of their contract for public defender services. It made sense for all this to go in together. However, our proportional expenditure started to make less sense, so that's why we contracted specifically for our.
We just have to renew that contract
No,
at the end of the term.
It's done.
We said we don't renew it and we're
yes,
good to go.
and they've already been notified.
Good.
So that's the core budget. Any questions on that one? All right, that one's pretty straightforward. Let's go to Public Works next. Page 5. It does start on page 4, but extends to page 5. If y'all recall, council set aside a considerable amount of funding in the current fiscal year for capital. And so that's why you're seeing actually a reduction in the overall public works budget from $1,549,100 to $1,459,245. And even with that decrease, we still have, and we're still anticipating 2 additional positions to be hired in that department in the upcoming fiscal year. Will that happen? We've been running ads now for 6 months and have gotten no responses. So I imagine we'll probably have a little bit more wiggle room in that budget, but however, we did want to budget those 2 positions if that were potentially to happen. Something else we're exploring, one of the things we do with the yard debris now is we pick it up, we unload it, we stockpile it, then we come back and we reload it, and then we take it an hour away to the landfill. So we're exploring a contract with one of our providers to provide dumpsters at Public Works, fill the dumpsters, they take the dumpsters. Save us a lot of time. One of the issues we've had is finding drivers. And if one of your CDLs is out, I have one. I think I have 2 CDLs now. And so we feel like this will save us some time. If you notice, this is oak leaf season, and so we're just running around with his hair on fire. And then you combine that with bulk pickup. We just need to create more time. And this maybe create some efficiencies that will make sense, particularly wear and tear on vehicles, driving back and forth. So lost man hours as well as fuel costs. So it may end up netting out. So, any questions on Public Works?
We've seen a reduction there, so.
Yeah.
Possibly
All right.
2. Those 2 employees, full-time, part-time?
They would be full-time.
Full-time.
Yeah, they would be full-time. And one that I wanted to discuss was building
Let me
services.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do all of our employees, full-time employees, get benefits like
Oh, yeah.
PTO, insurance, et cetera, et cetera? Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Look under building safeties, building services. That's basically the last budget. That one's pretty straightforward. It's an increase from 259,810 to 298,345. Obviously, subject to the 3% cost of living adjustments. The one expenditure that's causing an increase in that particular budget is we anticipate some pretty significant electrical work to be done between the shed building and the rear building. Their systems are still combined. They share 1 meter, and so we're going to try to take those things apart. We've been working with Perrin on kind of a proportional bill when it comes in, but it's been kind of a mess. And so that needs to happen, so we're budgeting that in this upcoming fiscal year to be done.
You seeing the shed as in 809?
Yeah, that front building is, electrical is tied in with the rear building.
And the water.
I
Yeah.
thought we don't own that building.
Well,
That's
we
why
own the
we're
back
separating it.
building.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So all the utilities are combined still.
Wow.
Yeah. So that one's pretty straightforward. So now let's go to executive, which starts on the first page, concludes on the second. We're anticipating an increase in that budget from $1,371,050 to $1,518,578. Obviously, this is, a lot of that is tied directly to personnel. It should be noted that we are including in that budget the hiring of, I guess we're calling it Planner One, to assist with the planning department, Noah. You know, one of the things you've heard is we've got a lot of volume going through there, and this person can handle more of the day-to-day zoning questions and permits and issues that we get. I need a re-roof, I need to put a shed in, those sorts of questions, allowing Noah to focus on some of the bigger picture items, which such as the PUD for the safe harbor, as well as the updates to the code. And we've just seen that an increase in volume and complexity of the zoning requests that we're getting. And so that would be probably the most significant increase in the executive budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And one of the things that Chris noted, and you can look, is the increases we're seeing in insurance costs. 5% for buildings, 10% for tort liability. That's pretty significant. And obviously, we hope with the implementation of the chief's new policies, we'll see some decreases in our experience modifier, which helps us drive down some of those costs. We've had some pretty expensive court cases in the last few years, which have kind of dictated where we've headed with our tort liability. No pressure. Okay, good. So that's why we're seeing that increase in that particular budget. All right. And then the last one, and then we'll get into more general discussions about things that we discussed last week, is the legislative budget. All right, obviously that's the first one. And right now, we're anticipating an increase from $333,000 to $399,000. One of the larger expenses, one of the expenses from the upcoming year that we do not have in the current fiscal year budget is the election. We are contracting for those services, and I think they gave us an estimate about $18,000 and some change to do that. Obviously, y'all's budget is also subject to the cost of living adjustments, the health insurance increase for the employer portion of the budget, the tort liability, the building increases. But one of the things that I think we probably want to discuss, and this is the line item that has the most discretion for y'all, is the projects and contributions. I've included in the memo kind of the main expenditures in that particular line item, and they're covered in this on a follow-up page to give you an idea of what we are spending annually. You've got the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation, the Stephen Parker event that's held annually at John Parker Day, Historic Port Royal Foundation, our contribution to the Chamber of Commerce Military Enhancement Committee, a little bit of money for the Friends of Cypress Wetlands, and then there's a balance basically for council discretion, which covers things such as the Christmas tree lighting. And then we are a participant in the mass transit study, and so that's our proportional contribution for the next couple of years until they get on their feet and I guess get more definitive funding sources. So that equates to about $156,750. So that is, and as you can see from the previous year, that's about a $31,000 increase because of taking on mass transit and some other items. We do know that the Historic Port Royal Foundation anticipates making a little bit of larger request than they have in the previous year. They gave us kind of a dollar amount, and we asked them to provide more backup and a justification for that, which we will present to you between now and the next budget workshop for y'all to mull over, and they may come and discuss that with you, depending upon.
What is the Beaufort County EDC again?
Economic Development Corporation.
Like shellring, it was repair and woodworking, it was,
Well, the town staff played a
Right.
pretty big role in
but
those
what's
things.
come up since those? I can think of 3 projects. I know the town staff was very involved in those, but since
Yeah.
those, what's come, you know?
Stonework.
Stoneworks was one of the 3 you were going to mention.
Stoneworks, right.
But since then, there's been more of a focus, I guess you could say, on more northern Beaufort County wide efforts, maybe addressing things that would benefit Beaufort County.
But we're still.
I cannot, specific to Port Royal,
Right.
I'm not aware of anything.
But we've allocated 40 grand each year.
Right, and that's
the
gonna,
focus
I
is-
think,
and the
increase
focus
to
is not on Port
42 or
Royal.
44.
And the focus is not on Port Royal right now.
No.
And I'll say, because then I was, spoken with council and especially in our retreat, it made me think about it because this is where we did our retreat last year. We were just sitting over there. And I believe one of our must-dos is encourage businesses into Port Royal, especially in the village area that fit into Port Royal. We've kind of identified that mostly being kind of more restaurants and retail services. Whereas the Beaufort Economic Development Corporation, they've done an amazing job at attracting really like manufacturing, industrial, these big, commerce parks. And so something I wanted to toss out there and throw out there is the majority of their funding, from my understanding, comes from Beaufort County, which all of our citizens pay money for. We all pay county taxes. And that's how their overwhelming majority of their budget is funded through that. And then so I just think I would like for us to consider the idea of us taking that $40,000 and using that in Port Royal, using that. And I don't know if that's using, basically we have our own Port Royal Economic Development Corporation with some seed money that we would use right here and just focus more on the specific needs and desires of like the citizens and what we're trying to do. And again, it just made me think about that. That is I think it's our second must do. Number 1 is port property, and then 2 was attracting the right kind of businesses to Port Royal. So we all know, sometimes you got to spend money to make money. So you can use that money. I think Noah's talked about you can do, bring a consultant in and they can look at the, what you have, what you need, how to incentivize it. And I just think, let's focusing that money, that this is all taxpayer money from Port Royal, spending it in Port Royal is something I think would be interesting. I would like to see where everybody's at on that. And, again, we continue to support the Economic Development Corporation at the county level, but just when talking about Port Royal, I just, I think we could use that 40,000 for a little bit more specific use for us and our citizens. So I'll leave that at that. But that was something I was just mulling over in my head, thinking about. So kind of see
How
what
would we
everybody's
do
at.
that? Who would advocate for us?
That's what I'm open to
Suggestion.
the staff on that. Do we stand up a committee? I mean, I know we have, I'm on the board of the Economic Development Corporation. Our representative right now is Greg Shelton, who's the treasurer. I don't know, do we stand up our own? Do we just start with a consultant? I would be open to kind of giving staff the charge of coming back to us with what do you think's, what's the best next step? Because I don't know, we've never really done that before. So I just don't want us to continue every year just to be putting $40,000 into this pot that I think we could focus more, on locally. Again, the next step, I would lean towards staff and say, where do you think the best is? Do you bring someone in from the outside to help us figure that out? Do we stand up our own Port Royal Economic Development Committee? I'm not sure. I'm open to the next steps after that. I'm just talking about, just as of right now, I'm just talking about this 40,000 and just a better use of it.
Better use
And
of it.
wanted to float that out there for everybody.
And
I don't disagree with you.
we had a very comprehensive study done that ended in 2022 by Arnett Muldrow that kind of analyzed the gateway, specific to what the redevelopment commission asked them to evaluate. And that was a very comprehensive report, and it was in the ballpark of around $30,000 or $40,000. And so it did produce, and it did provide guidance to the redevelopment commission in terms of how they made changes to the overlay, to create the overlay. So it has some merit. I mean, you could get an overall concept of the entire town rather than just on the that what we were calling the gateway. You got to be careful what we call it. I got all upset about that. So yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, what services are out there? Are there groups out there that go and will recruit businesses, or do they just come to us and, because that's where I would like to know. I'd like to have somebody come to us and tell us from the town, this is what you should do if you want to attract this. You can do this as far as tax credits. You can do this as far as, incentives for I mean, whatever those tools are, I would like to know what tools we have and how to use them.
Just because we don't contribute to EDC doesn't mean that we can't request from EDC. Am I correct in saying that? So like, I mean, getting our own framework, I guess, our own priorities straight, and then saying, these are the projects that we would like to come to Port Royal, and then request, I guess, from the EDC also? I mean, that doesn't take us out of that running, does it, if we're not contributing to that?
I would hope it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know I can't speak to what the other board members would feel or vote if knowing that we weren't contributing. Obviously, two members would come off of the board, and, I think Kevin serves as the at-large member right now.
Well, we're looking to increase businesses on Revolt Road and stuff, and really, we're not getting any benefit. I mean, everything's going north and abroad, and,
It's a salary, huh?
I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to do something to help not just us, but if we're paying that to the county, the people are double taxed, and, I mean, at some point, since we're on our own, we really should be looking at something like that.
So the things that you're asking for, Kevin, is that something that the Beaufort County Economic Court is already doing for us? And just maybe not doing it as well as we'd like? If so, can we just have a conversation with them and say, hey, y'all need to up your game?
Yeah, so we've chatted with them a couple times, many times. I think that they're just, and it's a really noble cause what they're doing. They're just really focused on in industrial manufacturing. They want big tracts of land. They want big box. Like, that's just kind of where they're focused on. I mean, if you look at their last big projects, their commerce parks. They're big, like they're really big things. So they're just not, when we go and say, hey, well, we're trying to bring more restaurants into the village, it's just not on their radar. So we've said that to them, wouldn't you say, a couple times?
Yes.
We've made that known to them. This is what we're trying to attract to Port Royal, and it's just, again, they're just focused on, and which is good, because those jobs, they do bring money into the community. They bring jobs, and people that live in Port Royal will still benefit from those jobs when they go work them. But it's just not, what they're going after is just not specifically what we're looking for in Port Royal, so.
And then we don't have the inventory. We don't have a large
Large
parcel.
tract.
It's really inexpensive.
The only thing we got is out there on 170, is that area there, but that's not really for big commercial.
Yeah, and what we're seeing more residential out there, and, when you're wanting to do something industrial, you
can't do it.
yeah, you want $5 a square foot, not 100.
Like a commerce park
Yeah.
type.
You can't build it on Lemon Island.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you've talked with them
Talk to them, yeah.
multiple times and said, hey, and they're not delivering, then maybe it is something we need to consider.
And we've understood the larger picture. I mean, since the beginning, we get it. But at some point, you'd like to see, how many projects do y'all evaluate, potential projects every month? 30, 40? And how many are in Port Royal right now?
None.
Other
So,
than
and again, my thought just really came from, I was looking at our goals for this year, and number 2 being, how do we bring businesses in? And so how do we look at that? And, got to unfortunately probably spend a little money. I'm like, well, here's $40,000 that we're sending to that for economic development. Why don't we just kind of transfer that to the town and keep it in-house and spend it a little more specifically on Port Royal and Port Royal's interests?
I don't have a problem with that. It's definitely something I would support, I could get behind that.
Yeah, so your bottom line on that line item would pretty much remain the same. It would just be
Right.
reallocating that $40,000 to maybe something more specific to what we may want to analyze or need.
To what, yeah.
And could staff come back to us, I know right now we're in the middle of budgets, but what next steps would be with that? What are the best way to move forward with, now that there's a little bit of seed money there to achieve that second goal, that must do up there? Because I really just think too, as the port begins growing and developing, and you're building more commercial space, you're just gonna see more interest. And I just think it'd be really prudent for Port Royal to be looking out for Port Royal, spending our money in Port Royal, trying to attract the businesses that we want in Port Royal. And again, that's been more what we've talked about, kind of just like those, restaurants, shops, retail, more of that kind of day-to-day services that people use, so. Cool. Well, like I said, it was just something I was thinking of and wanted to throw that out there to everybody. And again, I'm on the board of the Economic Development Corporation. They do a great job. It's just their mission is a little different than I think the town of Port Royal's mission is, so.
And because we're so small, we're
Yeah.
bottom of that barrel.
And that's fine, and like I said, yeah, $40,000 is a lot different that's a lot more money to us than it is to, some of the other municipalities, and so. And I don't even know, their budgets, again, the majority of that coming from Beaufort County is millions and millions of dollars, so,
Well, a lot of their money's coming because they have that retail, and we don't.
yeah. So, okay, just wanted to bring that one up on that one. I'll kind of, the other ones, personally, I'm okay with where we're at with all of those, the other ones. The Historic Port Royal Foundation, are they showing, they're showing up and showing where money's, spent when they come and ask
Yeah.
for them? Okay, that's good, that's what we
That's
asked
what we
of
asked
them. We asked for them to do a quarterly when they come ask for money, show us where the last bit went, so if they're doing that, I'm okay with that. Yep, military enhancement, the balance for all of our events that we have. And the mass transit, that's generally from that presentation that we had at
Yes.
our joint meeting. Okay,
And then the cybersecurity, we've typically made a contribution there annually, so we needed to add that one back in.
good.
That's 5K, but we'll balance that out. You all do have, like I said, you have the discretionary that Chris mentioned, Christmas tree lighting and some other things. And if we want to bounce back kind of to the overall budget, looking at, if you look at that last page of expenditures, we're at about, with everything kind of all included, everything requested by the police department, we're at about $11,247,153. Now, that's going to change a little bit based upon our discussions today and fine tuning a little bit as Chris, Brooke, and I come across different items. And our anticipated revenue right now is at about $11,263,000. So right now, we're running a little bit of a surplus, an anticipated surplus. And that's with anticipated property tax revenue at 5.8 and some change. Now, that's doing the multiplier at 74 mills. So if we're looking to do any sort of millage reduction, we will have to address some expenses across budgets, if that's a goal. If it's a goal to go from 74 to 73 or 74 to 72, we will have to go back and examine some of the budgets, give me some final recommendations or edicts or whatever you want to say to get this thing balanced. Now, a mill is still, it's worth about $78,000, $79,000. So if you're talking about 2 mills, you're looking at least $160,000 worth of reductions we'll probably need to make. So,
How comfortable are you with, I think everybody up here would like to see some sort of mill reduction. I don't think you're gonna get any pushback from anybody on that. Are you comfortable with doing 2?
I can make that work, sure.
Okay. You can make that work.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, when I got here, the millage rate was 85. And we got it down to 68.
I know, and then,
And we've, had to creep up when things kind of stagnated. Obviously, the economic downturn kind of put a halt to those millage decreases, but we've steadily bounced back. And the amount of, you probably saw if you read the newspaper, the amount of growth that Beaufort County saw from last year, pretty significant. Now, we saw $800,000 on the revenue side in property taxes. Obviously, business license fees are going up tremendously as well. And that is still based on 74 mills. So if we dial it back to 72, we'll have to make some adjustments.
yeah, I'm always gonna err on as much tax relief we can give the citizens as possible, always without, hindering or, services. I mean, I'm always gonna wanna try and strive for that. However, again, y'all have to work out the day-to-day, and I don't wanna, tie your hands behind your back. If you're comfortable with 2%, I'll let everybody on council speak for themselves too. If that's an achievable goal, I think it's amazing. I mean, it really shows the good governance that's been going on, because not only are we being able to lower those millage, things are happening too. You can go around the town and see projects happening. So things are happening, money's being well spent, and we're able to lower taxes. I mean, you really can't ask much more from your local government than that. So anytime we can demonstrate that, I'm always gonna be for that. So again, I'll open that up to council, but yeah, I mean, if you can do it, that'd be great.
Yeah. And just for, I want to make sure the 3% cost of living adjustment across all departments is something that this council is endorsing and fine with. So we'll keep that.
Yes.
Keep that, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see what else. We got half
Real
an
quick,
hour.
what's everybody else's thoughts on millage reduction?
I think
That's doing it's good, right?
I think it's good. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The question is, 1 mil, 2 mils, any reduction is good. You said 1 mil is about 80 grand? Mm-hmm. All right, so, and I know we've got some things we're gonna talk about tonight, that we need to really consider. But I think a millage reduction would be good.
Absolutely.
Where we end up at, I'm not sure, because I know there's some certain things that we're gonna discuss that, I think sometimes we just gotta make sure we're doing what the best fit is for the town and for the good of the community, so we don't hinder our progress.
Well, that was kind of my thing, Jerry, too, is I want a reduction, and I think we should do a reduction. But what I don't want to do is backtrack, because before we got so far behind, and we had to play catch-up, and we don't want to have to do that again. We want to be able to stay on that even keel and keep going, and we just have to be careful if we start cutting out of the budget, which I'm sure that there's always some little bit we can cut, but we have to consider we can't fall back. We have to stay a little ahead. If not, we're gonna be back where we were years ago and went from that 68 to the 80. So let's think about that as we do. I mean, I'm all for a reduction if we can do it. I'm just not sure 2 is gonna help us.
Yeah.
I'd love to have it. But
Yeah.
Well, let's see what staff can work out for us.
yeah, you tell us what you feel we can do.
Without putting it in a box.
Yeah.
What would be your biggest concern if we say 2 then? Like if you just like, we say, yeah, let's do 2, and you're like, oh, crud.
Well, the reality is now we have a budget that's $11 million.
Yeah,
So you reduce 2 mills, that's
160.
$160,000. So, and you take it from that particular line item. It's not spread amongst any of the others. So you just have to make adjustments. You really, I don't say pull the scalpel out,
Right.
but you fine tune some of the budgets that you need to. Cut out some of, let's be honest, there's some fluff in some things that have to be done.
Well, have you,
And we've done it in the past, for sure.
right, have you cut some of this out already before?
No,
So you have not fluffed it, done any, okay.
no.
This is raw.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is with everything.
This is very
Correct me if
fluffy.
I'm wrong, Chris, but everything that we were given has been included in now.
So you hadn't made adjustments to departments?
No, I've fine tuned some, and then Chris has corrected me where I'm wrong. But we're good there.
He's the man with the
Chris
money.
is sitting right there. How about you? What's your greatest concern if, we do this thing?
As far as the 2,
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking, worst case, right, we say 2, and that's gonna be our biggest concern, that we don't fall too far behind. So when you start thinking and listening to us kind of talk, what kind of comes to mind when you say that, like, because I know our appropriated funds and then our actual funds, end of the day, dollar, and those categories kind of balances out, but what is, if you have any concerns with that? I mean,
honestly, I don't have any concerns.
I'd love to have a
Things that, like Van said, that there's some wiggle room for us to maybe cut some things, and that won't affect, services that are offered to the citizens, so.
doable to get to two? Realistic to get to one, doable to get to two?
I think it's doable to get the two, yeah.
I mean, and yeah, and that's even, I'm just looking at the revenue line items now. I'm anticipating, much lower number on building permits. Franchise fees are pretty regular. The local government fund distribution, that gets adjusted annually so that I think the legislature added money to that this particular year because it now trends legislatively whatever the state's doing. Development fees are what they are. I'm just going through these kind of line item by line item.
Also,
And fire impact fees obviously are way down as well because those correlate with building permit fees. So despite those, anticipating much lower numbers in those two line items, we're still seeing, pretty significant revenue. And that's really tied to property taxes, business license fees. And obviously, we're seeing big bumps in local hospitality fees, which is obviously restaurants.
That we want.
yeah, and I imagine, we're projected for all of that to continue to grow, property taxes, business licenses. This upcoming year, I drove by the other day, that Grover Hill project, once that comes online, what's that projected to generate? The port, once that gets going, what's that projected to generate? The Grover Hill thing's coming along, that project's coming along pretty good, drove by it yesterday. So I'm just saying, we've got projects coming that are going to be coming online throughout the year that are gonna, we are projected to keep growing in all areas, I would,
Right.
so.
Is that development across from the Employment Security Commission in Port Royal? That's going in there? On Castle Rock?
Anything on Castle Rock is us,
Okay.
pretty much. Anything new.
Because directly across from the
Yeah.
Employment Security Commission, they've already started clearing out in there.
Yeah, that one's
So I
been
think
dragging
about-
on for quite
I
some
think
time.
40 houses or
That's
40
down from
something,
y'all.
40 residents.
Yes,
Yes,
Right.
40 residents.
yeah, that's us.
It's popping up everywhere, so, which just gonna generate more property taxes.
Right, we had a moratorium in place where we still had, 1,500 units in
Yeah.
that had vested rights.
Okay. Well, is that kind of,
That's what I've got.
okay.
That's what I've got.
Well,
There may be some legislative things, executive that will come back. I think Brooke and I talked about a parking analysis and a couple of other options. One of the things that we've talked about a little bit, and we'll talk about more, the Sands Beach Park. We do have an estimate for construction, but, there are some grant opportunities to address that, and we do have some leftover funds from the general obligation bond that we could potentially seed it with, so. And that could be done in phases, just looking at some of the costs associated with the vertical part of that, I think, we're pretty high, and I think we can maybe fine tune that some as well. But I think most importantly is to get the trails through there and address the parking. And then just the bathroom itself is about $115,000 expenditure. So that's something we gotta think about. Portalets don't look so bad after that.
yeah, when it comes to that, I think phases are good. We can just
Right.
see some progress, so it's not,
Yeah, absolutely.
and people are like,
Oh, yeah.
a couple years down the road, what about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
park we were talking about?
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you're doing a little bit here, a little bit there,
Let that Spanish Moss Trail come across.
yeah, take a bite at it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So what else do y'all need from us?
Let's look. If there is anything you have questions about from police department, fire department, any of the presentations made this evening, things that we can address, questions you might have, revenue projections, anything like that. That's kind of the miscellaneous portion of it. We can discuss anything.
Public Works, all of the improvements being done over there at their site, is any of that and is that in, that's all?
That's ARPA.
That was all ARPA, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it looks good over there. I mean, you drive by, it's, I haven't been in the property, but just driving by looking at it.
I will say that the guardian woman, whatever you want to call her, we've had a couple welders look at her, and she's got some major problems. So,
The rubber witch?
yes.
Okay.
So,
So she may
hate to
be
bring you all
trans-
down right
so
now,
she may
but
not be transferred, huh?
it will be very hard.
Yeah,
We'll let those
Dump a bunch of JV weld on her.
We can reuse that one for sure.
that's concrete.
Yeah.
Can pick that up, and move it up, move it.
Yeah. with a-
Not
with a
personally, I
backhoe.
can't pick it up.
With a
Sure you
vehicle.
can, you look pretty buff.
I mean, you and Chris, I'm sure y'all can
The
handle it.
goddess of the sea.
Okay. I don't have any questions. One thing, I mean, so we're good on pay, everybody? Do you need us to talk about anything else? Are we gonna have another session? Budget workshop?
We could, I think June 4th, we could conceivably, based upon maybe some of those contributions, if HPRF wanted to make a, talk to y'all. Obviously, you got 40,000. I think they were going to want 60. Not sure why, and that's why I put some meat on that bone so I can figure out what it
No
is.
salaries in that, though.
Didn't they
Yeah.
come last year,
But they had-
60,
but that
and
was-
we
That was
kicked it
salary
back?
too.
I thought so.
Yeah,
Salaries,
but
maybe.
they've made some
Pay
great
salaries.
strides. They've really done a good
They've done
job
a good job.
documenting.
Millet Park was great.
Yeah, I mean, they're moving forward.
Absolutely.
And we're right on with the fire department, chief, with City of Beaufort. We're,
Yes, we had a long meeting last night, we have another meeting next week. They did pass first reading last night, so, have another workshop similar to what you guys are entertaining, and then the final reading in June.
okay.
Do we want to discuss this memo, Mayor?
Yeah, if you wanna go through that, yeah.
I mean, just mainly the PD part of it, so we can better appreciate kind of what that means, what all those words mean.
Yes.
People ask me where we're meeting, so I'm letting them know.
Okay.
Don't want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off? We can talk a little bit about it. In your folders, we gave you an analysis of what all of these potential personnel impacts would be. It was 3% cost of living adjustment, 5% increase that the chief requested, a 2.5% increase that the chief requested, kind of breaking it down. We included in there the bonus structure, what those impacts would be, the educational impacts would be. And obviously, one of the things that staff had talked about is making sure that, beyond, that we had anticipated including the educational component for all employees. Similar to what we had in the past, which was grade-related, as well as one of the things that we wanted to more clearly stipulate in the upcoming policy is that your course of study is work-related. So that we were receiving some sort of direct benefit from that. So I think we wanted to get clarification on that we anticipated rewriting that back into the personnel manual. It was in our old manual, but we used an MASC model handbook policy, and it was pulled out, but we think it's a great idea based upon what we heard from the chief to put it back in for all. We had kind of started working on it already. So, but that's we wanted something for y'all to understand, that we wanted to do that as well.
Yeah, and, I didn't know, Chief, if you wanted to come up for a second? Sure. Yeah, we can just kind of go over, and I'll give you like an overview where I think we've all talked, and if I, let council step in too, and just kind of give you where we're at, because I know we spent a lot of time talking about salaries and bonuses and all that last time. So as you heard, we're planning on, this is where council's at right now, doing a 3% COLA for all employees. We're looking at doing another 2% for all of the police department. So that'd be a 5% pay increase for everybody in the PD. One of the reasons with that was we looked at, last year's increase that we did, the 5%. And then that, so we would be adding another 2% for the police department. As you heard, the reimbursement policy for the education, we thought that was a great idea, but wanted to apply that to everybody, so that'll be police department as well, but apply that to all departments. But then, this was something that, we'd kind of discussed about, and Councilman Guerrero kind of brought up. We thought it was a really good idea, interesting and good idea, I'm thinking for this military background. But looking at you talked about bonuses for education, military service, for merit, and we thought about, instead of us trying to dictate that, and how about we just give you the money you were asking for and let you dictate that, let you set up, we want you to be able to encourage and reward your guys and your women, how you see fit. And so that was something interesting that was brought up. I don't think we've ever done anything like that before, but that's kind of where we were at, and looking at that number, and we give you a pool of money and let you figure that out, and let you do it based on however you want to encourage your guys, And so, again, that's something new we've never tried before. How does something like that sound to you?
Yeah, if I'm understanding you correctly, I think it's basically the same thing. I'm guessing it'd be like the 1.25% per year for military, and then whatever percentage we decided for associates, whatever percentage we decided for bachelor.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what the other communities are doing, and that's huge for recruitment and retention.
Well, a lot of the thinking with it, Chief, it's exactly kind of how you're saying it, and my thought process with it being a number for you is that just because I did 4 years in the military, it shouldn't be an automatic qualifier, right? Because I could have been an average Marine, below average Marine, even in leave with a general discharge and that kind of stuff. So I come in and I rate a 5% because I got a 4-year degree essentially from the military. What we would like to see, or what my proposal to the mayor was, is to see a merit-based system that your guys are putting together, saying, if we're gonna use that discharge certificate as that, we leave the service with service marks, we leave with fitness reports or evaluation reports, take those into consideration to see what kind of character you're bringing in, and then use that instead of just saying, we all get it. Because again, it's gotta be a meritocracy, or we just start pulling people together, right? And so when we said, when I made the recommendation to the mayor, I was like, hey man, usually, what I've seen done is, just because my commander rates bonuses for everybody doesn't mean everybody gets the bonus. You have to work to get that bonus, and he gets to decide. We never got to decide up here. The dude who's writing the check is the one that's got to decide that, to make sure he's building the team that he or she deserves, based on the standards that he or she is establishing for that group. And that's kind of the opportunity that we want to afford you, to build a team, not just a general team. We want you to have the team that you deserve, based on the standards that you're establishing for them. I mean, you got an awesome opportunity, essentially, starting this up. And then driving the data later to see how that grows, to see if it does end up looking, because now we're recruiting that level of, that caliber of person, that we look at that at a different time. Again, just seeing this though, we want it, me personally, Chief, I want you to own this. I want it to be you that says, I'm the police chief, and this is the criteria for them, and without the council knowing that that's how I feel about it, that's, I think, how you could get the best bang for your buck. Because having a direct line to, this is how you make it happen at Port Will, and it's set there. Now, just because you did, doesn't mean someone else is better than you, and it breeds a level of competition within our own ranks where we start to want to shine. So that was my recommendation for it, because when we looked at the number, when I saw the number, I was like, dang, 13%, it's a lot. And I saw, well, it's a new program that we're getting started. I think there's some strides that can be made here, and I think we can do it responsibly, where we can grow the team anyway, and still breed a sense of pride that you're bringing here to be a Port Royal police officer. Because it's in the wind now. People are listening now. They're watching us, and that's impressive. This is just something else that, again, in your toolbox, to give to your captains to say, hey, this is where we're at, help me out. And we're doing it based on this criteria. Instead of just saying, hey, bring a DD 214 and you got it. It's got to be a little bit more than that for us.
Yeah, and we don't look at all that. We take your judgment with it. So I think it's important for you to make that decision, not us. We give you the money and you put it where you feel is best needed. And did they meet those qualifications? It's just like Guerrero saying, Councilman Guerrero says, but we just want to make sure that we stay in line, because we don't want to drop behind. You know, we're never going to be the top police department money-wise, but I think that's a great offer to people, you know, and pushes them to strive to do better. But we can't make that decision. You work with them side by side. They might have great military, but then when they got to you, they kind of slough off. But you're going to know that, not us. And your senior officers are going to know that. So we want to let you make that decision,
Okay. I think
if that makes sense.
I'm a little confused, but I think I have the basic guidelines that Tom Manager and I can sit around and discuss it. And I'm sure he can clarify, for example, what you're looking for, and we can figure it out.
Yeah, you requested specifically a line item for these specific goals and so forth. So instead of us dictating that, here's a pot of money for you to make your wish list happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We can work something out. Get a
But you do
proposal
that,
together.
yeah, instead of
Yeah.
us dictating.
Just keep the receipts.
Keep the receipt.
Chris would appreciate that. He needs a receipt.
Chris likes receipts.
I get kickback all the time. Forgot to put it.
Yeah.
That's my fault. It's always
But
my fault.
It gives you,
It gives you ownership.
It does, and it gives you the opportunity, Chief, really, like, we call them, on-the-spot promotions, right, meritorious promotions, where you see something good happening, and you have the gravity to move the needle right now, without them having to have met this thing that may or may not have been there, right? And, I mean, we want to give you that autonomy to be able to do that and build, again, I'm a team dude, to build a team the way you deserved it, the way the vision that you gave us when you showed up, and that you interviewed with and all that stuff, and that we all believe in today, all of us do. I think it's critical that you have this type of flexibility. That's just me personally speaking.
Oh,
Again,
you're-
I think we're
all of
on,
us are on
but
that.
again, personally, I think you deserve that flexibility to build the team in the manner and the vision that you had for it.
Okay, great, yeah, well, I'll definitely get with the town manager and assistant town manager, and we'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Yep.
Come up with some kind of- I think I have the concept, but
Yeah, I
The
guess
goal is
our
for
goal
us,
was,
they're yours.
it is brand new, and I think the idea was it just, not just being, oh, here's, you make this box, check, 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 here's your pay. Like, it being more of, again, some merit base. We want to create an environment where the best and the brightest are encouraged, they see a path, oh, I can move up, I can get more money if I do this, if I do that. And so, where it not just be a blanket, everybody gets it, because everybody did, A, B, C, D. So, and just trying to, like I said, we really wanted you to be able to have a little flexibility to tailor it to your department, so,
yeah, it's a little out of the box, I like it.
yeah. Far from ordinary.
You're going to have to figure this one out.
Yeah, we're gonna spin out and do some research on other departments are doing on the west coast, they seem to be leading this kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we'll figure something out. I'll get that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I like it.
Thanks, Chief.
yep.
Great.
And we're doing the 2% for captain and below, is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Anything else?
I believe that's it. Yeah, I will, 5 minute break. All right, budget workshop number 2 is adjourned, and we will get to our council meeting in 5 minutes. good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal, May 14th, 2025 council meeting. Tonight, we are at the Port Royal Police Department Training Room. We had, due to the last rain, we had a little bit of flooding in our council chambers. So we're over here in the police department tonight. Thank you to the police department for allowing us your training room for our council tonight. At this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Owens, you'll lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Ashmore, invocation, please.
Sure, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings of life, and Lord, thank you for this opportunity you give us to gather with our Port Royal family and our community to do the business of this town. Lord, be with each person here tonight. Give us the courage, the wisdom, the words, and the discernment to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, up next, approval of minutes. We've got minutes from a public hearing of April 2nd, 2025, minutes from the council workshop of April 2nd, 2025, minutes from the public hearing of April 9th, 2025, and minutes from the council meeting of April 9th, 2025. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. And get a second.
Second?
Any changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. Up next, a proclamation, National Boat Safety Week, the Coast Guard Auxiliary, Mr. Charles Russo. How you doing, sir?
Very well.
Good, good. If you just, nice to meet you. Yes, sir. If you, maybe you want to stand up, tell us a little bit about Coast Guard Auxiliary, what do you do, and then I will read this proclamation in, and we'll get a picture with you fine gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us. Coast Guard Auxiliary, we are a volunteer organization that assists the Coast Guard, our bosses, in making sure everybody that goes out on the water and hangs around the water remains safe and gets home at the end of the day. The idea is to make sure that, especially our town, it's surrounded by great waterways, great boating opportunities, that we do it safely and for those on the boats and those around them. That's our goal and mission in life.
Yes, sir. It's very important. Any questions or comments from council?
No, sir.
No, we just appreciate what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you, Charlie, for all you do. Okay, well, really quick, I'll read this proclamation here, and then we'll get a picture with you guys. You guys are looking sharp. We got to get a picture with you guys. All right. National Safe Boating Week 2025. Whereas each year during the month of May, the United States Coast Guard joins partners nationwide to raise awareness about boating responsibility. And whereas safe boating starts onshore with individuals preparing a flood plan for their passengers, getting a free vessel safety check, and participating in boating safety courses. And whereas, as they embark, boaters should make sure they check the marine forecast and that all passengers are equipped with a life jacket. And whereas the chance of drowning while wearing a life jacket is 1 in 66, and the chance of drowning with no life jacket is 1 in 11. And whereas every 2.5 hours someone is injured or killed in a boating accident. And whereas to put an end to preventable accidents that claim too many lives each year, individuals should never operate a boat under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And whereas boating is an important part of our national heritage, it is imperative that all individuals operating or occupying a boat follow common sense safety procedures that keep them safe and also keep our lakes, rivers, and oceans safe for all to enjoy. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Kevin Phillips, do hereby recognize May 17th through the 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week in Port Royal, South Carolina, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens, dated this 14th day of May 2025. Yeah. You guys want to just come right here? We'll get a photo with you. Should we come out front or just? All right. We'll come right here. It's a tight fit here. Here you go, guys.
One, two, three, one more. They got it.
Great. Here you go. This is for y'all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're probably right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right. Up next is a presentation. Port Royal Police Department Code Enforcement Officer, Kaista Shepherd. Did I say that right? Callista. Okay.
Blame it on me.
All right. And Callista is taking her oath
Yes, she is.
of office. All right.
Chief of Jail.
And I'm doing this?
Absolutely.
All right. Got the Bible right there.
Yep. Bring your daughter and let her hold it. Let her hold it.
She can hold the Bible for you.
Let her hold it.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
It's always good to have the kids involved. Good.
There you go.
Let mommy put her hand on it.
There
There
you
you go.
Raise your right hand. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to read a little part first, and then we'll have a part that you follow. So whereas it appears that Callista Shepherd has met the requirements prescribed by law pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 5732, the Town Council of Port Royal has appointed and commissioned said person to the position of Code Enforcement Officer, with all the rights, powers, duties, and benefits thereof in the enforcement of ordinances and regulations as directed by Town Council. Further, such term will expire upon resignation or termination of employment with the Town of Port Royal. In accordance with the laws of this state, the appointee's signature below indicates that she accepts the commission as a Code Enforcement Officer for the Town of Port Royal, and that she has taken the prescribed oath of office recited as follows. Just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that
I solemnly swear that
I am duly qualified,
I duly qualify,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed,
to exercise the duty of the office to which I have
been appointed,
been appointed,
and that I will,
that I will,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duty of thereof,
and preserve,
and preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution of this state
and defend the Constitution of this state
and of the United
and
States.
the United States.
I will,
I will,
during my term as my term of office as the Town Code Enforcement Officer,
to the term of office of the Code Enforcement Officer,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
defend,
defend,
and enforce the codes,
and enforce the codes,
ordinances,
ordinances,
and laws of the town and state aforesaid,
and the laws of the
town and the state,
and the state,
and will conduct myself at all
and
times
will conduct myself at all times
with due consideration
with due consideration
to all persons,
to all persons,
and will not be influenced
and will not be influenced
in any manner
in any manner
on account
on account
of personal bias or prejudice.
of personal bias and prejudice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Staff position? Is this a staff position? Oh,
Great job. You can have it. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you, yes. Okay. Good stuff, good stuff. Rocking and rolling, moving right along. Presentation up next, council briefing.
A couple things I want to mention. Obviously, we are meeting here. We had about 2 or 3 inches of standing rain on our roof, our newly installed roof, but that building is being dried up. I know there's been some questions raised about the installation of the speed humps. We did get an email this afternoon from Blythe indicating that they anticipated completion prior to the end of May, potentially extending into the first week of June. Obviously, we added some to the original contract, but we still anticipate having them in by the end of May. Contract was valid through May 22, but we're going to get that work done. So I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit. And we'll be back in our regular council chambers at the next meeting for sure. It's a little noisy in there right now. Any questions?
Causeway to the Sands.
We're waiting for concrete to cure, 28 days.
Okay.
There's some curbing they still need to do. Obviously, the rain we've had this last week is not helping. The gate is being fabricated, and the signage is also being created as well.
Okay.
So hopefully soon, will remain open to pedestrians. We'd love to get it open as quickly as possible to vehicles and golf carts. A reminder, do not park your vehicles in the boat trailer spaces. You will be ticketed. Just so you know.
I see it all every day.
Go.
That means I gotta drag my boat around everywhere I go now.
And they will be happy to do a safety inspection for you.
I know, it's right out there.
And drainage project?
All those utility conflicts have been completely
I
resolved.
see them out there working. I just
Work
have
is-
people asking when.
Now it's like everybody else, we're waiting on asphalt. That asphalt, I think, is the final step.
Okay.
So
Looks like it's-
there's a big
okay.
line for that, so that's being done. Just a real quick update as well, there was some discussion of the tree canopy at the Naval Hospital. From what I gathered, the Department of Defense, Department of Navy has paused that to reevaluate where they are in terms of the significant trees that are being considered for removal at this time. I think some progress was made with our meeting, and I think they understand the concerns that we have. I did speak with somebody from Congressperson Mace's office today about it as well.
Okay,
Good.
great. Anything from council?
No.
Okay. All right, up next, public comment. I know it's a little different this time. I did not receive any cards for public comment, so we will move into first readings. And I'll just go ahead and tell everybody, if you notice, this agenda is a little different than what we had at our workshop last week. We did have some items on there regarding the Safe Harbor Development Agreement and the PUD to be under first reading. The Planning Commission's got a little more work to do on those things before we take first vote. So first reading is now for those ordinances are gonna now be at our June meeting. And then I believe at some point we will call because we're gonna have it all done by the end of June. We're gonna call a special meeting sometime in June to do second reading on those, once everything's gone through because it has to hit certain milestones of certain planning commissions, certain public hearings. And so just to make sure that we make that timeline, we'll probably be calling a special meeting at the end of June to get that done. So just if anybody sees me like, whoa, the safe harbor stuff's not there, that's why it's been removed to next month. So now we'll back to the agenda. First reading, 2025, an ordinance to amend as follows, Section 1 of Ordinance 2024-10 to provide for the levy of taxes for ordinary town purposes in the town of Port Royal, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and to provide for the expenditures thereof. As you know, we've been going through public workshop. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve 2025-5.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussions, comments?
No, sir.
No. As you're probably aware, we had our second public workshop, budget workshop today. We're anticipated probably have one more of those before we give that second reading at our next meeting. So stay tuned for that. At this time, though, I'll entertain a motion that we approve 2025-5. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Up next, 2025-6, an ordinance to approve the court department budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025. Whenever this comes up, I always recuse myself, full disclosure, so my law firm does some work with the Public Defender's Office. And so I remove myself from this budget, and I will turn it over to Mary Beth now. The Mayor Pro Temp.
Okay. We are trying to pass, number 6, 2025, the ordinance to approve the court department budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, the vote. All in favor, aye? Aye. It's passed. Thank you.
And I'm back.
Mayor, you're back.
All right, we've got second readings here. So this one is the last one for this one, 2025-4, an ordinance of the town of Port Royal, South Carolina, extending a moratorium on multifamily developments, repealing such moratorium with respect to specific areas of the town, and 3 other matters related thereto. I'll entertain a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-4.
So moved.
I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments? No? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, it passes. Resolution 7-2025, a resolution in support of a child care and Early Learning Demonstration Project. Ooh. Do I need to read this one?
If it's not too long.
Okay, all right. Resolution 7, 2025, a resolution in support of childcare and early learning demonstration project. I guess I'll read it, then we'll vote on it. Whereas the town of Port Royal is a member of the Southern Low Country Regional Board, SOLOCO, a regional think tank that identifies the problems and opportunities that face the entire Southern Low Country as defined by the members and regardless of municipal or county boundaries. Whereas there are childcare and early learning agencies in our community that provide service to working class parents. Whereas the town of Port Royal and those interested service providers who have interest in a partnership with the SC Department of Social Services, a pilot demonstration project using the TriShare funding model being employed in other locales, whereas childcare and early learning in South Carolina is in crisis, with too many working class families unable to afford or find quality childcare and early learning, with the result that too few South Carolina children, 36%, reach kindergarten and first grade with the development and skills necessary to undertake a successful lifetime of learning and education, whereas the crisis in child care and early learning has an adverse effect on workforce availability and results in an estimated $1.4 billion loss for the South Carolina economy. Whereas increasing the availability and affordability of high-quality childcare and early learning will enhance the programs and goals of the SC Department of Commerce and Department of Education, whereas there is a useful and innovative childcare and early learning supplement funding model called TriShare that is being successfully employed in other locales to expand the availability and affordability of childcare and early learning, enables tax dollars to be spent more efficiently and effectively, and which appears to be readily adaptable for use in South Carolina. Now therefore, the town of Port Royal, as a member of SOLOCO, resolves and requests the Beaufort County Legislative Delegation and the Jasper County Legislative Delegation undertake those steps necessary to enable, fund, and ensure that the South Carolina Department of Social Services, with the support of the Department of Commerce and the Department of Education, will establish and conduct a child care demonstration project utilizing the TriShare funding model in Beaufort and Jasper counties and such other counties as may be appropriate, with such demonstration project to be organized and managed to increase the availability, affordability, and quality of programs offered by South Carolina child care and early learning providers. There we go. Okay, so that's Resolution 7, 2025. Anything you wanted to
No,
add, let us know about?
it's just one of the, it's a subject matter that came up as part of the SOLOCO discussions, obviously recognizing that we do have a shortage of childcare providers in enough spots, and so they're trying to figure out, using models from other states to identify ways to maybe fill that gap.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and SOLOCO's a great group. Proud to be a part of them. So, any questions or comments from council? Okay, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt Resolution 7-2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any comments? Nothing? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, okay. Resolution 7-2025 is adopted by the town. Up next, council actions. A, approval of public defender contract.
All right, in your folders, you received we provide you with copies of the 3 bids that we received. Staff evaluated them to make sure that they were in compliance with the RFP. All 3 were found to be valid and in compliance. Of the 3 bids, we're recommending the low bid of $60,000 with the Bartholomew Law Firm.
Can I say one thing, Mayor? I do want to abstain based on the fact that Luke Pollock is family. But I do, as we move forward and look at this, we need to understand who does business in our town and who supports us in our events as we move forward when making our decision. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Let me ask, with these contracts, did y'all interview all 3?
No.
Okay. All right, so,
I'll step out if we need to.
no, you're fine. Like I said, we didn't have to stand out, so. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the staff's recommendation of Bartholomew Law Firm.
So moved.
Can I get a second? And then we'll open it up for discussion. Okay, well, I'm gonna make the second. Do I need to? Okay, well, then I'll make the second. Second, so yeah, as you heard, we've had three. We, used to contract with the Public Defender's Office. We just talked about this in our budget workshop. You know, as an attorney, I know, all of the, applicants, so, and you're right, they are all great. However, again, my decision was to go with the staff recommendation, and it's pretty easy for me, as you heard during our budget workshop. The point of us pulling back from the Public Defender's Office was to save money, and, only one of these contracts does that. So again, that's, you know, I think we usually always go with staff recommendation on this. They're the ones that work with the applicants on a day-to-day basis. And again, that number, you know, just coming down to the dollars and cents of it for me. So again, that's why I'm in support of the Bartholomew on the staff recommendation, so.
Can I have a comment?
Yes, sir.
All right, and mine's kind of lengthy, so just bear with me. I do focus on price because I think that's real important. And if we look at what we've spent now, we're currently at $87,000. We're on track to spend about $315,000 this year. So there are two bids that actually will be under that, one at 60 and one at 90. So that's gonna save money for the town right there. Also, I looked at the references of the $90,000 bid. Excellent moral character, level-headed, wonderful communication, personable, and he had all three references responded. I look at the track record, the 11 years, I think that's pretty solid. And the location, which was real important to me, this law firm is in Port Royal. They're on 12th Street. They're just a couple of blocks from Town Hall. So there's not gonna be any traffic delays. Clients can go directly to the office. It's convenient, and I think that serves our town very well to have our public defender here in the town. The community involvement was big for me, the festivals and events, the support of Port Royal. I thought that was really good. I think the track record, the communication, the expertise speaks for itself. I considered the value. The middle bid is a good data point. It's the best balance of price, quality, experience, and communication. And what's really important to me is he showed up tonight. That means he cares. That means he wants to do the job. He's here. He's showing face. I'm not sure if serving on county council and being a public defender, it's potentially likely a conflict of interest, from a time commitment, from a loyalty conflict, from a potential perception issues. So for all those, I have a hard time going with the 60,000. I think the middle bid was probably the best bid for the town. So that's my reasoning. I appreciate you letting me speak that.
Yeah, of course.
Jerry took most of that. My biggest concern was also, one of the applicants serves on county council, and if there's any decision pertaining to Port Royal, how would that impact us? And also losing that vote due to recusal and so forth. And so I saw it as a perceptive conflict of interest, and that was my reservation.
Yeah. No, I got you, and I understand that. Trust me, when I started doing work for the Public Defender's Office, those issues came up with me being on this council, so.
A perfect example to
Yeah,
that.
and so, but yeah, I mean, I trust the staff recommendation. They sat down and interviewed people, and, so.
But they didn't interview.
They didn't interview.
They didn't interview. They didn't interview. They said they
Oh, you
did not
didn't
interview.
interview?
No.
You didn't
They did not, they did not.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We've got one of them here. Do you want to give them a chance to get up and talk or not?
If you'd like, yeah. I mean, are we giving
We
every,
have a motion on the floor, a live motion on the floor right now.
Okay.
yeah, we just need to vote. But, again, like I said, my is just pretty easy to me. It's going with staff recommendation. At this time, we have a motion and a second, so all those in favor
Let
of,
me give it a quick shot here.
Yeah.
My biggest thing was pricing, right? And I just didn't consider, I guess, what left and right lateral limits were as I looked at the documents. I'm a show up kind of guy, right? Like, it's just what it is. And most of the days, my wife's asking me why I do so much. And, I'm always double and triple booking myself, but what I do strive to do is to show up. And, when I'm just talking generally, I think money goes a certain amount. I think our staff's good enough to figure it out with the money if that's where we go. But, being involved with the community is something huge. that we, I think, as a town, have really latched onto. And I think that carries a lot of weight, you know, the more and more I think about it. I don't want to put you guys in a boat, but I talk a lot to people, and I tell you guys that, and I say this on the mic and in front of this camera, our citizens deserve people to show up for them. Like, I really believe that in my heart. And I do, I feel exactly what Jared said, because I did. I looked in the back of the room, and I seen somebody sitting in the back of the room. And if it's just for us to be here, you know, we would know that, because we wouldn't see them anywhere else in town. You know, but we do see a certain person that has been vying for this position everywhere in town. You know, and early on, when I retired, I tried to be everywhere in town, everywhere in Beaufort County, really. You know, and I think because that carries a lot of weight, it builds the trust, it builds the confidence, and no matter what our citizens do, they deserve the level of defense or prosecution, both, of justice, that we, the best one we can provide them, I think. And if we're already looking to spend over 6 figures on this year, I think it's tied in the budget. I think we're still there. We're being reasonable about it. And, you know, I mean, but I can't escape the fact that David brings, he's been a public defender before. So he brings that experience too, and that's important. So, I mean, again, all that to say that I'm torn by it, because we got, just like the last time that we did something, you know, we got our police chief hiring. You know, I mean, God, pulling my hair out every night, and I don't have a lot of it. Man, it's just, you guys made this increasingly difficult, but I think this is a good problem to have. I mean, it's just one of those things, but, again, I'm a show-up dude, man. If we show up and we're making a difference, I think that carries it. And if we're building trust and it's there and there's confidence built into the process, then our citizens are getting what we're promising them.
So are you withdrawing your motion?
I'm sorry?
So are you withdrawing your motion?
Or we could just call the vote.
Or we can just call the vote.
That's true.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I appreciate all that. Again, I'm just gonna fall back on that. It's just listening to staff, and it's a numbers thing for me, so. And that's probably what all my votes will be with all of these contracts, so. But at this time, I entertain a motion that we approve the public defender's contract. All those in favor of Bartholomew Law Firm signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion fails. So I'll call a motion that we, entertain a motion that we approve the public defender contract with Pollock Law Firm.
Second. I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with Pollock Law Firm.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. Congratulations. All right, up next, approval of Sands Beach Park proposal and name.
Yeah, in your folders, you have the concept plan. And one of the recommendations from the task force for naming was Marsh View Park. Just want to thank the task force for all the work they did. We are working on refining costs associated with the park, but we need approval of the concept as well as the name, potentially this evening. I wish we don't have the ability to provide you any visuals right now, but you do have the concept plan in your folder.
I've seen them.
Okay. Do we want to vote on that tonight, or wait till we have the pictures in front of us? Is everybody confident?
I've seen
I think it's in
the
our
pictures.
packet.
I've
We
seen
saw
it.
it last.
Yeah, I saw it. And I
All
know
right,
that
I'm
was
just seeing if
like-
everybody's okay with,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the Sands Beach Park proposal and name.
So move.
Second.
All right, any comments, discussion?
Marshview Park.
Marshview Park.
I like it.
That's what they're
That's
saying.
appropriate.
Yeah,
What's that?
That's awesome.
Exactly, it's on the
All right.
marsh.
The MVP.
Thank
there you
y'all.
go. All those in
Thank your
favor
committee.
signify by saying
Good
aye.
one, Charlie. Aye.
All right, up next, approval of street
Can we go
sweeper.
back to that quickly also?
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't recommended to Marshview, but I went back through the list also, and there were over 62 entries in there, and there are so many of them that had marsh in there. You know, marsh at Port Royal, salt marsh, you know, Marsh View Landing, marsh, so many. So I think that was fitting.
Yeah.
And as I said, I walk that property every single day, and I think it's very fitting for that. So I think that's a good call. So I thank the committee for that.
All right. Up next, approval of the street sweeper contract.
In your folder, there's a spreadsheet comparing the 3 bids received. All of them were qualifying bids, recommending low bid of SCA of SC LLC at $19,500 annually.
What was the frequency on
Of
that? The sweeping? Is it like once a week?
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning. Sands Beach.
Okay.
I have it.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, is Sands Beach Road, because we see a lot of migration
Yeah.
there. We can pull the RFP, but
That's fine. I
you
just
can't
wanted
see
to
it.
like twice a week or something. And
I used to hear it at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's Paris Avenue's monthly, 9th Street monthly, 10th Street monthly, Sands Beach Road twice monthly, Fort Frederick
That's
Circle
good.
monthly. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's
Twice a
reasonable.
month is, yeah, that should be
reasonable.
sufficient. It might need a good cleanup, you know, but once you maintain it on a regular frequency, I think it'll be fine. I'm good with that.
I think it's reasonable.
So, no, right? What was the lowest bid?
19,500.
And what was the name of that company?
It's SCA of SC LLC.
So is that,
Where they out of?
The company is out of, I think their big headquarters is out of Ohio.
Okay.
The other is Garden City, Georgia, and the other one is in Beaufort, and they were 40,800.
Okay. Say no more. Okay.
all right, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the street sweeper contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, up next, important dates.
All right, Saturday, May 17th, we have a street music concert, The Adventures of Matt Black at 6 p.m. Monday, May 19th, the Planning Commission at 3 p.m. Thursday, May 22nd, we have a community concert at Springer Healthcare from 5 to 7. Sunday, May 25th, we have the rededication of the commemorative marker on 11th Street. Monday, May 26th, Memorial Day will be closed. Tuesday, May 27th, Planning Commission at 5 p.m. And then Saturday, May 31st, we have another street music concert, Piper and the Hard Times at 6 p.m. And that's all I got.
All right, any other dates anyone wants to?
Yeah, you have the commemorative marker on the May 25th, but also that week is the weekend, May 23rd through the 25th is the original Gullah Festival at the Henry C. Chambers Waterfront Park. And the 25th does tie in with that, with the rededication of the commemorative marker on 11th Street is affiliated with the original Gullah Festival.
Mr. Charlie Russo brought something to my attention today when he came in. He said he didn't see anything on our important dates for Peace Officer Memorial Day, which is tomorrow. And then I did a little research while we were sitting up here, and our South Carolina General Assembly approved Senate Bill 542, which recognizes Police Officer Week for South Carolina, 11th through the 17th. So if you know a cop, meet a cop, get pulled over by a cop, thank them for what they do. But tomorrow, just an extra prayer for those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for us in defending our way of life. I mean, it's a big deal when that happens, and you know, our community hasn't been touched much by it, but it has been. We're not immune from that, so.
All right. Any other dates, anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Up next, public comment. Again, I haven't had didn't get any contacts. We have Council Chairwoman. Would you like Alice Howard?
Street music?
Yeah, please, absolutely.
Because I missed her last week, because I had to go.
We have a couple of news worthy items. The CID did not agree on our proposal for the Newport Bridge. Stay tuned for more on that. That's the bridge to Hilton Head, not any, but it impacts all of us, of course. And more to come on that, and hopefully next week we'll have a report on what they want us to do. And the other thing is, we are gonna have 2 vacancies on the Beaufort board. If you all be interested, those are coming up. One is District 4, and the other, would be District 5. But if we have 2 great people in District 4, we'll get them on it. So if anybody has any suggestions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. Absolutely. Okay, all right. I'll open up. Any other public comment? Like I said, we're a little off schedule here tonight, so I know we don't have a card, but, so, all right. And up next, council comments. Start from the left. Councilman, Mr. Ashmore,
I have none. Thank you, sir. Good meeting.
Councilman Owens,
Good to see you all.
Mrs. Mary Beth.
Just want to say thank y'all for coming out and supporting us as you always do. And, you know, as y'all all know, budgets are hard, have to cut back sometimes. But, you know, we want to do what's right, not only for you, but for the community. And what we do up here makes a big difference. And so I just want to say thank you to my counterparts for what we do. I think it's important, and we need to hold the line like we do. And we'll continue to have another year, 25, 26.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Guerrero.
Nothing, I'm at a loss for words today.
You feeling,
Well, we're gonna think I would
you
do
feeling okay?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm feeling great, you know, it's, and I'll say, I mean, I'm the rookie up here still, right, I'm the newest guy on the
You can't
team,
use
but,
that anymore.
but, you know, most days we do, you know, and this is the beauty about what we do, you know, and government really is, you know, that your council has the courage to sit up here and disagree in public, and we move on like it's the best thing for the town. That's really impressive, and it makes me proud to sit with you guys.
Yep. We're glad to have you here.
Okay, thank you all for being here and just bearing with us with the patience of having us in here again. We should be back next.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. So we had a little bit of flooding, but thank you to the police chief for letting us be in here. With
For the
that,
coffee?
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right.